Hello, I'm Mayor Nenshi, and welcome to a special Christmas edition of Mayor Nenshi Reads. We're going to be reading a fun book today called Santa is Coming to Calgary. And it's written by Steve Smallman, illustrated by Robert Dunn and Alan Brown. Here we go. Well, boomed Santa, have all the children in Calgary been good this year? Well, mostly, answered the little old elf as he bustled across the busy workshop to Santa's desk. Santa peered down at the elf from behind the tall, teetering piles of letters that the children of Calgary had sent him. Mostly? Asked Santa, looking over the top of his glasses. Yes, but they've all been especially good in the last few days, said the elf. Jolly good, chuckled Santa. Then we better get their presents loaded up. Even though the sack of presents was really, really big, and the elves were really, really small, they seemed to have no trouble loading it onto Santa's sleigh. Though how they managed to fit such a big sack onto that one little sleigh, even they don't know. But somehow they did. Splendid, boomed Santa. We're ready to go. Not quite, Santa, said the little old elf. One of our reindeer is missing. Missing? Which reindeer is missing? Asked Santa. The youngest one, Santa, said the elf. It's his first flight tonight. I've called him and called him, but... Just then, a young reindeer strolled up, munching on a large carrot. Where have you been? Asked Santa. But the youngest reindeer was crunching so loudly, it was no wonder he hadn't heard the little old elf calling. Well, never mind, said Santa, giving the reindeer a little wink. He took out his Santa nav and tapped in the coordinates for Calgary, Alberta. This will guide us to Calgary in no time. With a flick of the reins and a jerk of the harness, off they went, racing through the sky. And you know what Santa said. Ho, 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 laughed Santa. We will soon have these presents delivered to the Stampede City. Santa's sleigh flew through the starry night, heading south across the Arctic Circle. On they flew in the wintry air, crossing over the Northwest Territories. In the wink of an eye, the sleigh was flying towards Alberta. The youngest reindeer was very excited. He had never been away from the North Pole before. They were just nearing Banff National Park when suddenly they ran into a blizzard. Snowflakes whirled around the sleigh. They couldn't see a thing. The youngest reindeer was getting a little worried, but Santa didn't seem at all concerned. In 2 miles, said the Santa nav in a bossy lady's voice, keep left at the next star. But ma'am, Santa blustered, I can't see any stars at all in the snow. Soon, they were hopelessly lost. Then, through the howling blizzard, the youngest reindeer heard a faint ringing sound. Ding dong. He looked over at the old reindeer with the red nose, but he had his head down. Ding dong, ding dong. There was that sound again, like church bells ringing. The youngest reindeer turned around to look at Santa, but Santa wasn't listening. He seemed to be arguing with a little box with buttons on it. With a flick of the harness and a jerk of the reins, the youngest reindeer gave a sharp tug and headed off towards the sound of the bells, pulling Santa and his sleigh behind him. Whoa! Cried Santa, pulling his hat straight. What's going on? And then to his surprise, he heard the ringing sound. Well done, young reindeer, he shouted cheerfully. It must be the bells of the Cathedral Church of the Redeemer. Don't worry, children, Santa is coming. And then suddenly, crunch! The sleigh hit something as it plummeted through the snow clouds. You have arrived, said the Santa nav, unhelpfully. Finally, when the snow had died down and the clouds parted, Santa discovered exactly where they were. Stuck right at the very top of the Christmas tree near Calgary City Hall, right where we are now. The reindeer pulled with all their might until at last, with a screeching noise, the sleigh scraped clear of the Christmas tree, and Santa steered them safely past Olympic Plaza, around the Bow, over the Chinese Cultural Center, across Bow River, and down into Princess Island Park. Luckily, there was no real damage done, but the packages have been all jumbled up. Santa quickly sorted out all the presents into order again. "All right," said Santa. "Thanks to this young reindeer, I know where we are now. Don't worry, children. Santa is coming." Santa drove his sleigh expertly from rooftop to rooftop, all over Calgary, popping in and out of chimneys as fast as he could go. There were big chimneys in Crescent Heights and small chimneys in Varsity. He squeezed down thin chimneys in Ramsey and plummeted down fat chimneys in Haysboro. The youngest reindeer was amazed at how quickly they went. Santa never seemed to get tired at all. And it looked like the children in Calgary were going to be very lucky this year. But the youngest reindeer was starting to feel a bit weary, and quite hungry too. In house after house, Santa delved inside his sack for packages of every shape and size. He piled them under the Christmas tree and carefully filled up the stockings with surprises. In house after house, the good children of Calgary had left out a large plate of cookies, a small glass of milk, and a big crunchy carrot. Santa took a little bite out of each cookie, a tiny sip of milk, wiped his beard, and popped the carrots into his sack. From Lake Bonavista to Bowness, from Wildwood to Inglewood, from Silver Springs to Southview, and all the places in between, Santa and his sleigh visited every house in Calgary. Santa delivered presents to Andrew, Allison, Anna, Arabelle, Archie, Ashley, the list went on and on. Zach, Zara, Zeb, Zoe, Zibble. Zibble? That must be a spelling mistake. Finally, Santa had delivered the last present on his long Calgary list. "Great moons and stars," sighed Santa. "It's past midnight and my sack feels as heavy as ever. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone." Santa opened his sack to check, but it was full of juicy, crunchy carrots. Santa divided the carrots amongst all the reindeer. "Well done," he said, patting the youngest reindeer gently on the nose. But the youngest reindeer didn't hear him. He was too busy munching. Then it was time to set off for home. Santa reset his Santa Nav once more for the North Pole, and they were speeding above Fort Calgary past Nose Hill Park and out over the northern Rocky Mountains through the crisp, starry night. "Ho, ho, ho," laughed Santa. "Merry Christmas, Calgary." Thanks for being part of Mayor Nenshi Reads.